50 years ago, on September 24, 1964, Supreme Court Chief Justice Earl Warren handed a report of the President's Commission on the Assassination of President Kennedy to President Lyndon Johnson in the Oval Office. The 7 commissioners, pictured here with President Johnson and General Counsel J. Lee Rankin, concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in killing President Kennedy. The Warren Commission worked for 9 months in this building, the Washington office of the VFW, a short walk from the Supreme Court building and the U.S. Capitol. We set up a camera in a 4th-floor conference room to talk to investigative journalist Philip Sheenan, whose book, A Cruel and Shocking Act, The Secret History of the Kennedy Assassination, examines the Warren Commission's work. Using key phone calls, documents, and artifacts, Mr. Sheenan explains some of the lingering controversies regarding the Warren report. But first, we take a brief tour of the former Warren Commission offices.
We're now on the 4th floor of the U.S. Capitol Historical Society, where in 1964 this would have been the working floor for the Warren Commission. Now I'm going to show you the office of Chief Justice Earl Warren. This would have been Chief Justice Earl Warren's desk and his chair. We are less than almost 150 feet from the court building itself, the Supreme Court, where he worked every day, obviously, and then came here in the after hours to see how the investigation was going on. And if you can glance out our window, you can see why the proximity to the court and the building here at 200 Maryland Avenue would have been to his choosing.
This is an artifact that the National Archives allowed us to videotape. It's Oswald's address book. That's the cover of it. And then inside is this page.
Sylvia Duran turns out to be a very important figure in all this, and the Warren Commission staff saw her as a very important figure in all this. She's a young Mexican woman, a committed socialist, who is employed by the Cuban consulate in Mexico City. And she is the person who dealt face-to-face with Oswald while he's trying to get the visa and other paperwork from the Cuban government that will allow him to defect. There's reason to believe that there was a relationship between Oswald and Duran that went on outside the walls of the Cuban consulate, and that they were seen around town together, including at a party attended by Cuban diplomats, some of whom had apparently spoken openly in the past about their hope that somebody would kill President Kennedy. The Warren Commission staff, this young fellow, David Slauson in particular, is desperate to talk to Sylvia Duran, to interview her, to find out what she really might know. And after much negotiation, it appears that Sylvia Duran will come to Washington. She'll agree to be interviewed. But that idea is vetoed by Chief Justice Warren, who refuses to allow her to be interviewed. He says, apparently his words are, she's a communist, and again, his words, we don't talk to communists. So this vital witness is never questioned by the commission. I tracked her down in Mexico last year. She continued to deny that she had any sort of relationship with Oswald outside the 4 walls of the Cuban consulate, but I'll tell you, there is a lot of evidence to the contrary.
This is a video of the government printing office's copy of the Warren Report, 26 volumes. Did this work serve the public well?
I think, unhappily, history shows that the Warren Commission missed a tremendous amount of information. Perhaps inadvertently, information was hidden from the Warren Commission. And there is at least the possibility that people around Lee Harvey Oswald knew what he was planning to do and may have encouraged him to do what he was going to do. And, you know, conspiracy is a loaded word, but that does raise the question as to whether or not there were other people who conspired with Lee Harvey Oswald to kill John Kennedy. I wonder whether or not in the future, when we face the next national tragedy, which is doubtless on its way, whether or not we want to have truly independent scholars and historians run these investigations. I think that might have served us very well if real historians, real scientists, real technicians got involved in the investigation of President Kennedy in 9/11. That might have resolved an awful lot of the conspiracy theories about both of those tragedies that we still have to contend with.